My new work has been released. Welcome everyone to read my work in tomato novel. I hope everyone can enjoy it. Your attention is the driving force behind my writing, and I will strive to tell every story well. Chapter 1. The Void World. You are listening at novelfull.audio. There is no sound or light, it is a silent place, and all one can understand is the feeling of falling to the ground or the floor. A young man with grey short hair and purple eyes recalls being on the brink of life. Number 34, am I already dead? Number 34, he couldn't help but say such words, but his throat moved and he couldn't hear his own voice. Like an empty world. However, if it is emptiness, the existence of touch is strange. There is a feeling of heart beating, as well as physical pain felt in times of danger. Number 34, still a child, interesting. Number 34, as if a sound was directly tapping his brain, he instinctively jumped up. Number 34, who are you? Number 34, the boy shouted loudly, but couldn't hear his own voice either. Number 34, don't panic, there is no sound here. If I rely on my thinking to speak, I can still hear. Number 34, it seems that we need to use our brains to speak, so use, listen, is this word appropriate? The young man pondered. Suddenly, laughter rang out in the brain. Number 34, it's really interesting to have such thinking in this situation. I make a living by making people worry, do you only realize now that I'm afraid? Number 34, the boy used his brain to ponder the principle of that sound. Number 34, you will quickly adapt. Number 34, the owner of that voice smiled proudly. Number 34, so, who are you? Number 34, Number 34, villager A. Number 34, Number 34, what? Number 34, Number 34, in the game of a different world, others will refer to people like me as villager A. Number 34, faced with the boy's humble reflection, the owner of the voice fell into contemplation. Number 34, my name is Reno Fur. Number 34, when he noticed the owner of the voice struggling with how to address him, the boy called himself Renault. Number 34, who the hell are you? Number 34, next, it was the boy's turn to ask a question. He didn't ask for his name, but asked about the other person's existence. Number 34, it's indeed the turn of the problem. Number 34, the owner of the voice laughed again, that's right, if you insist I am the Demon King. Number 34, the owner of the voice cast his words into the young man's brain with a majestic voice. Youth and Number 34, Demon King, dialogue, and without any surprise, asked the next question. Number 34, so, what do you, the so-called Demon King, have to do with me? Number 34, faced with a series of questions, the Demon King simply and firmly asked, Number 34, is it in your eyes that the current Demon King is not enough to be afraid of? Number 34, but he also realized another possibility, that the other party knew they were Demon King, but without changing his attitude. This young man's arrogance had exceeded his expectations. Number 34, are you the one who needs my help? Number 34, Number 34, Am I? Number 34, Number 34, what wish have you poured into the edge of life and death? Number 34, here. Number 34, Demon King, if that were the case, Renault recalled his memories from earlier. I didn't make a wish. I just made up my mind to say, I want to kill all those bastards. Number 34, Number 34, bastard. Number 34, Number 34, the reincarnation of a different world. Number 34, Renault's eyes were filled with terrifying hatred as he answered. Number 34, why do you hate them so much? Number 34, Number 34, on the other hand, if a stranger tramples on your land and steals your property without your consent, wouldn't you be angry? Number 34, Renault asked back and then continued. Number 34, I can only let go of those bastards by personally eliminating them. Number 34, Renault gritted his teeth, his anger undisguised. Number 34, Demon King, I am delighted by the hatred towards Renault's negative emotions, which serve as an opportunity for my abilities to blossom and become a powerful force. Number 34, since that's the case, you came to me in search of strength. You are such a lucky child. Number 34, Number 34, wait a moment, if it's to gain your strength, I don't need it. Number 34, reincarnations possess the ability to concretize despair, and they see the great changes in heaven and earth as ordinary things. Faced with all of this, Renault refused the power of battle. Number 34, can you defeat them solely based on your own abilities? Arrogance to the extreme is foolishness. Number 34, I'm not saying I can win. Even if I gain strength from you and can temporarily solve them, I will still be just a scum like them. Number 34, Renault firmly expressed that his eyes still did not input the word dot. Number 34, a boy named Renault, the Demon King pondered whether he possessed the ability of mere arrogance. Number 34, anyway, let's continue our conversation. Renault, what are your abilities? Number 34, I have never possessed any abilities, I am an incompetent person. Number 34, the Demon King was surprised that the young man who claimed to be able to kill the reincarnation known as possessing divine power actually smiled and said he was an incompetent person. The Demon King burst out laughing. It's really interesting. That's really interesting. Number 34, after more than 1,000 years of waiting, the person who finally appeared was far weaker than imagined, but had a strength beyond imagination, arrogance. Because of this, the Demon King sneered, unfortunately, whether I give or not, by the time you came here, you had your own abilities and were no longer powerless. Number 34, what? Number 34, having your own abilities. Number 34, upon hearing this sentence, Renault searched for a strange sensation within his body, but could not find it. The so-called ability, also known as skill, is something that people who are bestowed with gifts can know its purpose and detailed information. However, Renault has never gained such experience. The Demon King sensed Renault's confusion and chuckled, the one inside you is not a skill, and it has not been activated yet. Number 34, what does it mean? Number 34, let me tell you, don't worry for now. Firstly, although you are concerned that your abilities are something I have bestowed upon you, they are not something I have bestowed upon you, but something you have acquired yourself and should have possessed. Number 34, I heard about gaining abilities in the future, but that usually refers to the stories of those who already have the ability to plunder and collect. Number 34, this is achieved through different. Number 39, evolution, inherited from tradition. Number 34, evolution. Number 34, only those who have become my blood relatives and possess a certain level of willpower can reach here. Number 34, blood-related individuals. Renault's expression became perplexed by this word. Chapter 2. The Demon King's Ability. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Number 34, I am not a descendant of the Demon King, and more importantly, I am just a human. Number 34, the Demon King originally referred to the sudden appearance of the Demon King, which only appears once every hundreds of years. The most recent Demon King was eliminated by the brave 200 years ago. Although there are other monsters called Demon Kings, they are all monsters and humans cannot have a Demon King. Number 34, I was sealed by 5 brave warriors 1,000 years ago. I am the Demon King of primitive humans. Sensing Renault's thoughts, the Demon King replied. Although this may sound unbelievable, Renault is contemplating it, I see. Number 34, the Demon King is just a respectful title, as long as someone with power claims to be the Demon King, they are the Demon King. Number 34, you are very sharp, Renault. Number 34, so what do you mean? Before being eliminated, you left offspring with a certain woman, and I am the offspring. Number 34, not only you, but also 1,000 years is enough to increase the number of offspring. Number 34, that is to say, Renault is not the only legitimate heir to capability. Number 34, so what? How can I activate my abilities? Number 34, do you really need to activate your abilities? Number 34, of course you can. Since it is something passed down, I will make full use of it. Number 34, Renault's eyes flashed with a strong light, as if urging the other party to tell him quickly. Number 34, firstly, I once possessed 7 abilities. Number 34, once owned, that is to say, it has been lost now. Number 34, these despicable warriors have sealed my abilities one by one. I'll keep 2, so you only have 2 inherited abilities. Number 34, sealed. Does that still exist somewhere? Number 34, that's right. Somewhere in this world. One of them recently found out their location, while I don't know about the others. They may still be sealed or taken by my other descendants. Number 34, can I collect them? Number 34, of course you can. Number 34, Renault nodded, indicating understanding. In his memory, he once heard in fairy tales a legend from 1,000 years ago. That Demon King was indeed a battle, natural disasters. That's this one, Demon King, the power of. If all of them are gathered together, we should be able to fight against those who, reincarnation, okay. Number 34, please tell me the triggering conditions and usage methods of your abilities. Number 34, you are really impatient. Rather than being a triggering condition, it is easier to say that the method of developing capabilities only requires dedication. Number 34, dedication. Number 34, yes. Devote corresponding emotions. There are 2 things you inherit, arrogance and gluttony. This is the desire and emotion associated with human beings, known as the 7 deadly sins. Number 34, do you gain abilities by dedicating them? Number 34, yes. But once you give it up, those emotions inside you will also disappear. However, they are divided into 10 levels, and their abilities will also improve based on the amount of dedication. Number 34, for example, if you want to obtain number 39, overeating, the power of food only requires sacrificing one's appetite. Devoting a little will only give you a little ability, dedicating everything will give you tremendous strength, at the cost of losing appetite. Number 34, Renault smiled and without hesitation, pondered on his own abilities. Number 39, arrogance, and, overeating, give it all to me. Number 34, the next moment, words came to mind in his mind. Obtained. Number 34, the disruptor of concepts. Obtained. Number 34, a saturated rebel. After a moment of silence, Renault felt that his body had not changed at all. Furthermore, there is no explanation of the ability. Number 34, Demon King, let out giggles. Number 34, this is not a skill, skills need to be explored by oneself. Number 34, hello, it's not very good without explanation, is it? Number 34, don't worry. Although the abilities of inheritors may differ, they are generally similar. Let me tell you. Number 39, the destroyer of concepts, as the name suggests, it is the ability related to destruction. Number 39, a saturated rebel, then it is related to. Number 39, overeating, the ability to plunder and collect is related. In my place, as long as you devour the opponent's breath, you can seize their skills. Number 34, although it may sound like an explanation, it is actually not explained clearly. Number 34, is this kind of service attitude not acceptable today? Number 34, I'm not quite sure myself. Number 34, Demon King, speak confidently and confidently, not very clear, Renault couldn't help but sigh. Number 34, forget it. Go and learn about it yourself in the future. Number 34, that's all for abilities, use the rest as you like. Number 34, I did it according to my own ideas. Number 34, the silence between each other seemed to signal the end of the conversation, and Renault's body emitted a faint glow. Number 34, it's almost time. Number 34, Demon King, speaking. Number 34, this is a big service. Recently, I have been able to determine the location of my abilities and teleport you nearby. Number 34, has the chat ended yet? Number 34, I have conveyed everything that needs to be conveyed, what else should I say? How about telling my story? Number 34, Demon King, the answer made Renault chuckle lightly. Number 34, indeed, it is. Number 34, if you continue to gather all your abilities, maybe you will meet again. That's it for now, Renault. Number 34, Renault's body shone for a while before disappearing. Number 34, Demon King, laughed. One is the visitor who has been waiting, inheriting the inheritance of number 34, Demon King, ability. Another is that despite dedicating, arrogance, all of them, but Renault is, Demon King, the endless arrogance that never changes in one's attitude. Number 34, the concept breaker finally number 34, the young man thought in his heart, always believing that the reincarnation is, unnecessary existence in the world. In the past, heroes who subdued major battles defeated them, Demon King, the brave, the mad king who plunges the world into terror, the hero who gains the strongest name. All of these may be reincarnations, or some kind of existence related to them, because the origins of those who are called brave are often unknown. The youth is pondering what the purpose of this world's existence is. Just if there are no reincarnations in the world, then, Demon King, will it really rule the world? I don't think so. Because humans, non-human races, and animals other than monsters living in the world would not allow such things to happen. Although it is very powerful. But in the face of power, without ability, people are weak. However, the weak also have corresponding combat styles. The young man pondered, the world is. Chapter 3. Destruction. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 4. First Battle. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The cold sweat on his forehead flowed down his cheeks, and the pound bear did not give any time to tidy up his body. Now Renault can only use what they have a slight understanding of, destruction, for number 34, overeating, the ability to comprehend even the content. However, even in this overwhelmingly unfavorable situation, Renault still firmly believes in victory. Think Renault's thoughts were in chaos, his brain rapidly spinning in despair and never giving up. The endless arrogance towards oneself, the inability to give up the focus of victory, and the fear of rejecting death all accelerate thinking. Number 34, Demon King, Renault maintains the ability to connect with it, which means he is able to constrain these two abilities in some way. That is to say, number 34, arrogance, and number 34, overeating, the ability is very powerful. Although it has now been ruled out, overeating, because I haven't mastered it yet, but, destruction, the power of is not enough to be called strong. In other words, precisely because it has the ability, destruction of life, only then can it demonstrate strong value and have something worth protecting. And when Renault destroyed the grass he had touched, he also destroyed it, grass that has not been touched. This indicates that as long as it is connected to it and that it is an object, it can be destroyed and to some extent controlled. Why did we come to this conclusion? If it can destroy everything, number 34, Demon King, just destroy the ground to confront the warriors. Even if the brave can fly, they cannot move, and all humans in the world will fall in a vertical direction. Although it is also possible not to do so, the likelihood of not being able to do so is much higher than what can be done. Number 34, destruction, there should be a limited distance. If one cannot master a skill and cannot control it, it will become an inconvenient and extremely useless ability, and is it worth sacrificing other abilities to protect it? Renault formulates and simulates strategies in his mind. So far, the time spent thinking is about 2 seconds. The pound bear sorted out its body and took a step towards Renault. Everything is a set of rules based on the exploration of possibilities. But that's enough. If you can't even risk your own life, then you can't confront the next desperate thing. Renault quickly extended his right hand towards the ground before the bear approached, and the ground immediately cracked open. Then, the ground around which the bear and Renault stood shattered into 4 squares. This is just a temporary trap, and the pound bear cannot cope with this sudden event, twisting its body and starting to fall. But the story did not end. Renault jumped towards the pound bear, his goal being the unsuspecting right foot of the bear in the air, and he tightly grasped his hair. Number 34, destroy it. Number 34, although the pound bear extended its worn-out claws to attack Renault's right hand as it fell. But at the moment when it was about to touch, the pound bear's body cracked. With a faint growl, it softly shouted and then shattered. Due to gravity, Renault fell about 4 meters from the trap he built himself. Number 34, ah. 34, Renault made a strange sound, but the damage suffered was not severe. He lay on the ground looking at his right hand, stood up gently, filled with joy at the victory. Number 34, great number 34, his vision was distorted. Number 34, Number 34, he understood that his entire body was losing strength and was familiar with this feeling. Ah, it turns out that he cursed his own ignorance. In the process of gradually blurring consciousness, only a man's heavy voice was heard shouting, "Is everything okay?" Number 34, his voice reached Renault's ears. In the room, Renault smelled a faint and familiar fragrance. Number 34 Renault, upon hearing this voice, he had thoughts in his heart. This voice is the voice of his dear mother. In his gradually fading consciousness, Renault realized it was a kind of awakening, opened his eyes, and saw the wood-grain ceiling. He tried to sit up, but couldn't exert any force, only noticing himself lying on the soft bed. Number 34, oh, are you awake? Number 34, Renault turned his gaze towards the direction of the sound and saw a man with black and white hair sitting on a chair beside his bed. Number 34, do you understand the current situation? Number 34, the man's words reminded Renault of losing consciousness after defeating the pound bear, and he nodded quietly. The man breathed a sigh of relief when he saw this. Number 34, that's great. So, let me introduce myself. I am Luc Rudolph. Number 34, I am Renault. Number 34, Mr. Renault, you saved my life. Thank you very much. Number 34, please don't worry, it's voluntary. However, you have delivered me here, it has been a great help. Thank you. Number 34, Renault thanked him, and Rudolph smiled and said, "No, you're welcome. I won't let my benefactor ignore me." Also, regarding the cause of fainting. Number 34, Rudolph stuttered and couldn't speak, and Renault chuckled lightly. Number 34, is it because of hunger? Number 34, speaking, Renault cursed his childish thinking. He mistakenly believed that there was no need for it, eating, to gain energy. As a living organism, activity requires corresponding energy. Illusions, misunderstandings, and fainting caused by exceeding activity limits. What a fool, sighed Renault. Number 34, now let you eat something easily digestible. Number 34, Rudolph finished speaking and left his seat, then returned in a while. Number 34, just wait for me all at once. Number 34, Rudolph smiled and sat back in his chair, while Renault slowly sat up. Number 34, by the way, Mr. Renault. What are you doing alone in that place? Number 34, Rudolph naturally raised the question. Number 34, I was traveling, but got lost in the forest all night and woke up to find that all my luggage had been taken away. Number 34, Renault improvised a lie, but this common story should not arouse suspicion. Rudolph nodded as if without exception, I see, that's really unfortunate. Number 34. Chapter 5. Loss of appetite. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Afterwards, Rudolph told Renault that the city he is currently in is called Hanover, and he was the mayor there, and Renault, who had determined the location, then raised his concern, Mr. Rudolph, why are you in such a place? Number 34, my purpose is to investigate, I am looking for the owner of that forest. Number 34, Master. Number 34, About a year ago, low-level monsters appeared in the city. There is a rumor that there was a master in the depths of the forest who chased after the expelled demon, who came to the city in search of food. Number 34, Renault understood his meaning. Although I walked so far, I didn't encounter any monsters, perhaps because something drove them away. Number 34, I see. Is this master also a demon? Number 34, well, it is said that those who have seen it say it is a humanoid beast. Number 34, Renault is caught in thought, are your companions all lower-class professions? Number 34, Rudolph understood Renault's meaning and had an indescribable expression on his face. Number 34, this is a border town where adventurers rarely stop, and knights only have some stationed. I happened to encounter them on my way to the capital and asked them to serve as guards during this investigation. I didn't expect to encounter a pound bear in that place, which was a mistake. Number 34, I see. Number 34, Renault nodded as someone knocked on the door. Number 34, please come in. Number 34, Rudolph opened the door and a woman revealed her face. The meal is ready. Number 34, oh, really? Thank you. Number 34, Rudolph answered happily. Afterwards, Renault followed Rudolph into the dining table. In the center of the spacious room, there is a long table with 2 dishes placed beside it. Renault is thinking, is there anyone else eating at this table? Number 34, Rudolph seemed to have noticed and answered his question, usually we have a lively meal together, but today everyone has already finished. Number 34, after they sat down, the tempting aroma of the food made Renault drool. Rudolph said, to eat something good for the stomach, there are indeed only foods on the table that are beneficial for digestion. However, Renault's stomach still felt full. Number 34, eat slowly. Eating too quickly is not good for your health. Number 34, thank you, then I'll get started. Number 34, Renault ate it in a casual way and then regretted it. He immediately felt intense nausea, not because it tasted bad, but because it was simply, can't eat it. Imagine a situation where food gets stuck deep in the throat and cannot be swallowed. Renault's stomach sent out an unbearable signal, and he could only force water into it. Facing Renault's sudden action, Rudolph frowned, is it not to the taste? Number 34, no, don't mind, maybe it's because I haven't eaten for too long. Number 34, this is a lie hastily fabricated by Renault. Upon careful consideration, it was indeed strange to say such absurd words, but Rudolph did not pay attention and continued to eat. Renault regrets taking all of it. Appetite, dedicated to Number 34, overeating. Losing appetite, it turns out that eating has become pain. Is there anything more painful in life than this? Renault absent-mindedly and slowly fed the food into his stomach. Otherwise, he would starve to death. Renault felt remorse for his childish and ignorant behavior. When he was halfway through eating, he suddenly noticed a large portrait hanging on the wall. The person in the painting looks like Rudolph, but there are some differences. Number 34, Mr. Rudolph, what is that? Number 34, Number 34, Number 34, Renault pointed to the painting, and Rudolph looked up at the portrait. Oh, that's my brother Grimm. Number 34, no wonder you feel a bit like each other. Number 34, Renault chuckled lightly. Number 34, Grimm. Grimm Rudolph. Number 34, do you know my younger brother? Number 34, how could I not know him? He is the first person in the ecology of monsters. Number 34, Rudolph smiled happily and said, yes, it's him. Number 34, he seems to really want to show off his younger brother. However, his expression suddenly became gloomy. Number 34, I would be happy to see someone like you who knows my younger brother. But I'm sorry, my younger brother is no longer here. Number 34, sorry. Number 34, it's okay. I'm glad to have someone who knows my younger brother, that's enough. Number 34, looking at Rudolph's sad smile, Renault felt uneasy. Number 34, what's going on? Why do you care? What's wrong with me? Number 34, Renault didn't even understand, and his consciousness gradually sank into the ocean of thought. Number 34, Mr. Rudolph, if possible, could you show me Grimm Rudolph's study? I have always wanted to see him. Number 34, this is not a lie, but it is not entirely true. Just as a memory engraved in the books that Renault read during his childhood, there is no special awareness of that person. Number 34, well, good. Enjoy it, Grimm will also be very happy. Number 34, Rudolph agreed without saying a word. After struggling to finish the remaining food, Renaud was immediately taken to Grimm's study. But before that, of course, he was asked to change into clean clothes because his clothes were very dirty. Grimm's study is well organized and very clean. The room is quite spacious, with a row of bookshelves on the wall, densely packed with books, all related to the ecology of monsters and animals. Renaud happily flipped through the books one after another, while Rudolph looked at him with a gentle smile. Number 34, can I read here for a while? Number 34, number 34, it's okay. Then, I want to thank you very much, so please come over to my room later and ask my servant to know the location of my room number 34, number 34, well, I got it. I'll go over later. Number 34, Renaud nodded, and Rudolph closed the door and left the room. Renaud immediately perked up his ears, waiting for Rudolph's footsteps to fade away. Then he turned to the bookshelf instead of the table. He opened some drawers, but didn't see anything worth seeing. What he did was indeed somewhat despicable. In other words, did Rudolph trust people too much, which made him feel uneasy. After thinking for a moment, he looked at the bookshelf. What is this discomfort? While thinking, a sound came from outside the window. Chapter 6. The Owner of the Forest. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Renaud approached the window and looked out. It looked like two servants were talking. Number 34, Lord Rudolph, what's wrong with him? Number 34, number 34, it seems that we cannot abandon the investigation. Number 34, number 34, will they continue after suffering that kind of harm? Number 34, number 34, I have said the same. But he didn't listen and said it was dangerous for monsters to come to the city. Number 34, number 34, it's really Lord Rudolph's style. Number 34, number 34, by the way, how's the matter with the rope going? Number 34, number 34, are you referring to that kind of sturdy rope with added lead? It was delivered this morning. What is that thing used for? Number 34, number 34, let's catch the monsters. Number 34, number 34, for what? Number 34, the two of them slowly left the window, their voices gradually fading away and they could no longer be heard. Number 34, capturing monsters. What exactly is it for? Number 34, Renaud suddenly looked at the bookshelf. Grimm should be studying beastly magic. Number 34, he chuckled lightly. Number 34, I see. Number 34, Renaud left the study satisfied and prepared to go to Rudolph's room. I found the room smoothly and knocked on the door. Number 34, please come in. Number 34, upon hearing a knock on the door outside, Renaud opened the door and walked in. Number 34, ah, it's you, I've been waiting for you. Number 34, Rudolph sat on a chair deep in the room, reading. Number 34, regarding the matter of thanking you. Number 34, number 34, before that, I have a question. Number 34, Renaud interrupted him, and Rudolph frowned. Number 34, what's the problem? Number 34, number 34, are you going to suppress or capture the owner of the forest? Number 34, Rudolph was surprised. This question suddenly arises, there is really no foundation at all. This young man may have already, perception, here it is. Number 34, you. Number 34, Rudolph changed from a surprised expression to a face full of sadness, you are really a smart child. Number 34, this sentence made Renaud more convinced of his speculation. Sure enough, the owner of the forest is Grimm, right? Number 34, Rudolph nodded vigorously. Number 34, why can you detect it? Number 34, number 34, I accidentally heard the conversation between the servants and learned that you have placed a strong rope order. If we consider the safety of the town, it should be a campaign rather than hunting, right? Number 34, number 34, that's true. However, it has many other uses. Number 34, Renaud nodded in agreement, I have a strange feeling. Number 34, number 34, strange feeling. Number 34, number 34, why do you choose some novice adventurers? If you just want to suppress it, you can issue a commission in the Guild of the Royal Capital, where there should be many first-class adventurers. Number 34, a guild is the organizational structure of adventurers, responsible for coordinating work and assigning tasks to adventurers of different levels. In this situation, A-level adventurers should be suitable. Rudolph just nodded and urged Renaud to continue speaking. Number 34, although he is a border lord, if he lives in such a mansion and hires servants, he should have enough financial resources, right? This makes me feel strange. Number 34, are you choosing a beginner because you don't intend to kill him? Not just that. The owner of the forest appeared a year ago, and Grim Rudolph's disappearance was also a year ago. Number 34, what? Do you know about this? Number 34, I saw it in the bookstore. After all, I used to be his fan. Number 34, Rudolph said happily and then replied. Number 34, even the owner of the forest may not necessarily be Grim, right? Number 34, the rest is just my intuition. After all, Grim is also a researcher of beastly magic, and I suspect he has violated taboos. Number 34, beast-like magic is essentially a kind of magic that transforms oneself into a beast-like form. Although it is a simple magic, it is not easy to fully understand the characteristics of transforming into a beast, otherwise a portion of humanity may be preserved halfway through. So, what are taboos? It is number 34, magicization. By transforming oneself into a demon, one can utilize the characteristics, magic, and abilities of the demon, which is a groundbreaking technology. However, the magic of monsters contains trace amounts of toxic gases that are harmful to humans. Because it is true magic rather than disguise, it will devour the spirit and turn both body and mind into monsters. Therefore, this is a prohibited taboo magic. Rudolph remained silent for a moment before whispering, "Intuition, that's right." "Renaud, you are right." Number 34, Rudolph weakly affirmed that his expression was distorted by pain. There used to be a pair of intimate brothers who had a gentle personality and became a man who could be considered the lord title inherited by their father. My younger brother is diligent and intelligent, and has become a renowned scholar. The two always get along well and will definitely help each other in times of difficulty. However, my younger brother cannot give up on one thing, which is the ecological essence of monsters. Although hailed as the first person, he often says that he has not fully understood the essence of monsters and expresses his desire to glimpse the life of monsters. The older brother expressed concern about his younger brother, but perhaps because he had learned about his thirst for knowledge since childhood, he did not delve into it. One night, my brother woke up and felt uneasy due to the sound of broken window glass, so he went to his brother's bedroom. There was a broken window and the entire floor was covered in magic circles, and my brother immediately understood what had happened. My brother feels remorseful for his foolishness and recklessness. We should communicate more with him and pay more attention to our younger brother. Despite his indelible emotions of regret, Rudolph remained calm. Violating taboos, even well-known scholars will be regarded as violators and caught. If you have bad luck, you may even be sentenced to death. Therefore, he chose to conceal the facts. He brought in some trusted people and dealt with it as a disappearance incident. Although he is a famous scholar, he has been staying at home frequently lately, and this town is a border area, which has played a certain role, so it has not attracted much attention. It was from then on that the forest appeared, Master. Chapter 7. Capturing Demons. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Number 34, I am waiting for the river to calm down. Then, I picked up my sword. I thought the opportunity had finally arrived, but in that scene, a bear suddenly appeared, which was a bad situation caused by my mistake. Number 34, after speaking, Rudolph lowered his head. Number 34, if a capture request is issued, a reason needs to be provided. Generally speaking, lords do not issue capture requests. So you should hire adventurers as guards for prior investigation. Number 34, Rudolph nodded, and Renaud also showed a sad expression. Number 34, after the Pound Bear incident, the guild will also take action. At least B.level or above adventurers will take action. Number 34, yes. This is an undeniable fact. Number 34, moreover, even if captured, it cannot be restored to its original state. Number 34, this is another reason why objectification is considered taboo. Both body and mind have become demonized and cannot be restored to their original state. Like beastly magic, releasing requires one's own will, but how can it be restored in a state of lack of will? Forced recovery is possible, but like transformation magic, it has one thing in common, which is, synchronize with the target. If the transformation is forcibly lifted, it will inevitably lead to some kind of mental illness. People who have experienced similar events in the past eventually become useless and spend their entire lives staring at the void. Is this really considered helpful? Rudolph couldn't hide his disappointment. There is no other way but to give up. No, that's not the case. Number 34, if there was a way to save it, what would you do? Number 34, regarding Renault's questioning, Rudolph raised his head and asked. Number 34, what? Number 34, number 34, to be honest, this is a gamble. If I fail, I will either kill Grimm or be killed by him in the battle. Number 34, this was expected of Rudolph, and indeed, it was. In Renault's eyes, a smile flickered, and a hint of darkness appeared in his purple eyes for an instant. Number 34, can it be done? Number 34, I said it was a bet, right? Anyway, the guild has already taken action, and there is also a cost to the challenge. I think it's worth taking a gamble. Number 34, Renault sneered and said. This statement is both evil and tempting, even somewhat like the whispers of demons. Rudolph's mind was filled with complex emotions, but there was no other way. Number 34, I want to try to believe what you say. Number 34, this is a wish entrusted to my younger brother. Number 34, that's settled then. So, what needs to be prepared and manpower, please help. Number 34, the young man smiled brightly, but Rudolph's mind still lingered with the darkness in his eyes that he had just seen. The wild beasts are hungry, no matter how they search, they cannot find their prey. The wild beast that lost its thinking did not realize that it had eaten up all the creatures in the forest and destroyed the ecosystem. Hunger cannot be suppressed, to the extent that even the big trees growing there look like food. Despite being in the daytime, it still gets lost in the forest searching for food. At this moment, a pleasant aroma penetrated its nose. It immediately reacted and followed the scent, which was clearly the smell of meat. Following the scent came a young and petite boy with gray hair and purple eyes, looking very soft. Drool uncontrollably overflowed from the corners of the beast's mouth. Number 34, is it based on the bloody wolf prototype? Number 34, the young man said. The appearance of a wild beast resembles that of a wolf, walking on 2 feet, covered in coarse fur all over its body, and its eyes as red as blood. Young Renault stared intently at the beast and slowly walked towards it. Number 34, what's going on? Are you hungry? Number 34, Renault stopped, revealing an evil mockery. The beast did not understand Renault's words. However, it has been observing Renault's magical power. Magic is basically judged by the opponent's magical power. The wild beast laughed proudly, and the young man's magical power was exceptionally weak. At this moment, the beast ran straight towards Renault, as if he were a pitiful prey. The passers-by or other creatures that appear in the hunting ground will soon become something to feed it. However, the beast's claws could not reach Renault, and its right foot instantly bounced backwards. Its body is upside down in the air, confusing people. The beast looked at its right foot and found a rope wrapped around it. Is it a trap? The beast cut the rope with its left paw and fell from behind to the ground, but was almost unharmed. When the beast was trying to stand up, its arms and feet were pulled in different directions. It struggled to escape, but couldn't move. Above the beast's head, Renault giggled as he approached. The first-level adventurer is indeed wise and truly a forgery, who was lured by such a simple trap. Number 34, the beast didn't listen and continued to struggle desperately, with the rope making a hissing sound. Number 34, time is running out. Number 34, Renault glanced at the rope and then looked down at the beast. Renault has been pondering. What is the capacity they can bear? Number 34, Demon King, once said. Number 34, the capacity of carriers varies. Number 34, the destroyer of concepts, this is the capacity that Renault can withstand. He understands that this is a destructive ability. However, number 34, concept, what exactly does it mean? Although I understand the meaning of words, how can I transform them into abilities? After multiple investigations, he came up with a hypothesis. If number 34, concept, if this thing is composed of things in one's own mind, Renault looked down at the beast while slowly extending his right hand. To avoid being bitten, he touched the right arm of the beast. He believes he can do it without any doubt. Renault smiled gently at the beast and said, "Your brother is waiting, I will destroy all of this kind of thing." Number 34, the entire body of the wild beast had cracks, and then it shattered with a creak, revealing a naked man. Although he was very thin and breathing lightly, he was still alive. Renault was convinced that he had destroyed, magic, this, concept. Number 34, Grim. Number 34, from behind Renault, Rudolph ran over. The rope bound Grimm's body also loosened, and a few people ran over from all directions. Rudolph knelt beside the weak Grimm and picked up his body. Number 34, Grimm. Great. Grimm. Number 34, Rudolph held Grimm and cried loudly, ignoring wiping his tears. The men around were also silent, but crying. Number 34, Lord Rudolph, we must immediately take Lord Grimm back. Number 34, a tearful man approached Rudolph and gently placed his hand on his shoulders, saying. Number 34, ah, yes, it is indeed so. Number 34, as this sentence begins, others begin to prepare to transport Grimm back. Rudolph held Grimm tightly and looked at Renault. Number 34, Mr. Renault, really, how can I thank you? Number 34, don't worry. I did it out of liking. Number 34, speaking, Renault smiled. Chapter 8. Negative Legacy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. That night, while Renault was resting on the bed in his room, someone knocked on the door. Number 34, here we go. Number 34, with a response, the door opened and Rudolph walked in. Number 34, it's you, how is Grimm's situation? Number 34, malnutrition, but it is gradually recovering, and it seems that it should wake up in another 2 or 3 days. Number 34, well, that would be great. Number 34, speaking, Renault sat up and Rudolph sat on a chair by the bed. Number 34, if there is anything I can help you with regarding your gratitude, feel free to let me know. Number 34, Rudolph spoke, and Renault fell silent. Number 34, however, even if you can't think of it now, it's okay. Number 34, Mr. Rudolph, do you know the power of the Demon King being sealed? Number 34, Renault interrupted the conversation, and Rudolph's expression froze instantly. Renault seemed to be searching for the lines to answer, but only silence dominated the scene. Number 34, well, it's okay if you don't know. Number 34, no, I just feel surprised that a young child like you knows such an ancient legend. Number 34, legend. Number 34, do you know? But ask. Number 34, only know the power of being sealed. Number 34, well, it is called the negative legacy. Number 34, Renault frowned at the unfamiliar word. What is that? Number 34, have you heard of the story of the Demon King about 1,000 years ago? Number 34, well, a little bit. Number 34, under Renault's answer. Rudolph showed a thoughtful expression. Then, he slowly began to tell. Number 34, about 1,000 years ago, there was an undead demon king with overwhelming power to trigger natural disasters and earth changes. This demon king committed many evil deeds and was ultimately defeated by 5 brave warriors. However, his power is too immense. Therefore, the brave ones cut their lives one by one to seal their power. One of the powers of the demon king lies dormant on this land, which is a legend. Number 34, that's it. Number 34, Renault involuntarily showed a somewhat excited reaction. Renault, who suddenly woke up, pretended to be calm and asked, "Number 34, where is that number 34? Rudolph smiled and chuckled softly as he responded like a child, "Actually, it's right under your feet, number 34, number 34, what number 34, number 34, my family has been playing a role in protecting it for generations, number 34, number 34. Is it the family of the brave number 34, Rudolph chuckled at Renaud, who frowned. If that's the case, I might become a knight. However, because this happened 1,000 years ago, I am not sure about the details, I only know that my ancestors once served the brave. Renaud is fighting on the side, with the accompanying harmony, thinking about it. Number 34, sorry to bother you, but could you please tell me if this is good for me, number 34, Renaud asked thoughtlessly, suddenly feeling a chill. This feeling is very familiar to him, and for those without power, it is a necessary feeling for survival. It is precisely because he can effectively suppress this feeling that he has been able to live to this day. A gloomy atmosphere emanated from Rudolph's gentle smile. May I ask a few questions, number 34, number 34. It's okay, number 34. Renaud lifted his knees slightly to be ready for action at any time and maintained a sitting position. Number 34, please be honest and answer, who exactly are you, number 34, Renaud pondered, should the truth be revealed. Number 34, don't underestimate adults, at least don't deceive me, child. Number 34, Rudolph seemed to have noticed and revealed the clues behind it. Number 34, I must gather that strength. Number 34, he avoided revealing that he was, Demon King, their bloodline, but lies are obvious. Therefore, it was decided to minimize the information provided. Number 34, for what? Number 34, number 34, for myself. Number 34, this is an answer that is not an answer, but Renaud believes Rudolph should be able to understand. Rudolph slowly pondered, as if chewing on the question. Number 34, the last question. You are evil, is it? Number 34, Rudolph's tone was very delicate, and Renaud realized that no disguise was allowed for this issue. Renaud closed his eyes, easily opened them, and looked straight at Rudolph. For me, there is no, Sean, there is also no number 39, evil. I only have my, internally number 34, goodwill, and number 34, malicious. They cannot be discussed casually, as they may change based on one's perspective. This is Renaud's own words, without any impurities. A few seconds of silence at the same time as Rudolph showed a thoughtful expression. It felt unusually long for Renaud. I don't know if it was due to mature thinking or other reasons, Rudolph slowly spoke up, although I don't look like it, I have confidence in distinguishing people's hearts. From my perspective, you don't look like a bad person no matter what. Number 34, as he spoke, his expression also softened. However, I cannot easily hand over the things buried underground to you, after all, I am the guardian. Number 34, Rudolph said naturally. Number 34, sorry, but since I know you're pursuing that thing, I can't keep you here. Please leave early tomorrow morning. Number 34, I understand. Number 34, Renaud nodded, feeling that whatever he said was in vain. At least not being immediately driven away is already considered good. After confirming this, Rudolph stood up and walked towards the door. However, Rudolph suddenly stopped. Oh, by the way. The security of this estate is very lax. If a thief comes in late tomorrow night, they may not even notice. Number 34, Rudolph, intentionally, that's it. That is to say, if you really want it, you can come here and steal it. Renaud was somewhat amused by the owner's attitude. Number 34, so, good night. Number 34, Rudolph finished speaking again and left. In the quiet room, Renaud lay in bed. Number 34, a negative legacy. This is number 34, Demon King, the ability to stay, although knowing one, but how to find the remaining. Perhaps it would be better to discuss with Rudolph, but we have missed the opportunity and cannot turn it back. No matter how much you think now, it's no use. Renaud closed his eyes and fell asleep. Chapter 9. Defense is very lax. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Renaud felt the scent of someone before the sun rose and woke up. He opened his eyes and looked around without seeing any figures. He slowly shifted his gaze and noticed something placed in the corner of the room. That is a backpack that only one person can carry, 2 folded papers, and 2 envelopes. Renaud picked up one of the envelopes. It says number 34, His Highness Guild Silver Snow Leonardo Fauci. On the other one, it says number 34, Mr. Renaud, first of all, please take a look at this letter. Renaud opened the latter's envelope and unfolded the paper inside. Mr. Renaud, first of all, I would like to apologize for my previous impoliteness. For some reason, I cannot fully assist you, a person who has shown me great kindness. I am truly sorry. Moreover, you saved my brother Grimm, and my gratitude is indescribable. If given the opportunity, I would also like to express my gratitude in person. Number 34, time is limited, let's get straight to the main topic. Firstly, I prepared 2 pieces of paper. One is a floor plan of the estate, indicating the entrance to the underground, and the other is a map of nearby towns. Although it takes about 3 days to walk, there is enough food and coins in the backpack for 5 days. Please make the most of it. Number 34, finally, regarding the certain reason mentioned above, I cannot write it here. Please understand. At least, I am not your enemy. Perhaps Wang Du will have some information about what you are looking for. If it's Silver Snow Faki, he will provide you with help and you can visit him. Number 34, just to add, I'm really sorry for the way we parted ways. If you're going to have a conversation closer here in the future, you can also come and take a look at me, Luke Rudolph. Number 34, Renaud folded the paper and put it back in the envelope, then opened the backpack. It contains well-preserved food and enough gold coins to last a month. Number 34, thank you, Mr. Rudolph. Number 34, Renaud muttered to himself in a low voice. Renaud left the estate before dawn. Intentionally discovered by a servant who had been active since the morning and conveyed the message, please remember me to Mr. Rudolph, if so. After Renaud left the town, he waited in the forest for the sun to set, and then began to invade the estate when the town quieted down. Although it is said that, the defense is very lax, but I can't even feel the trace of the defender. Renaud had some doubts about whether he had been fooled, but he still saw a small iron gate surrounded by flowers near the map markers, which had an ancient feeling with the ground. Renaud picked up the rusty padlock, only to notice that it had already been opened. Number 34, is this really good? Number 34, Renaud chuckled bitterly and murmured softly. He took off the padlock and quietly opened the creaking door, revealing a staircase leading to the darkness underground in front of him. A hot and stuffy atmosphere rushed in, and Renaud lit the makeshift torch he had been waiting for the sunset to make and began descending the stairs. I don't know how long he has been walking, but the endless staircase has been tempting him to walk down. When Renaud felt tired, the stairs finally told him that it was the end. Approaching the passage ahead, it suddenly opened up. Renaud looked around cautiously and walked forward. In the center of the room, there was a huge stone platform sitting on another book made of stone. As he approached, he saw those strange symbols. Number 34, is it ancient writing? Number 34, there is no need to deliberately set up defenses, as this is an unbreakable seal in itself. To unravel it, it is necessary to analyze the stacked ancient texts and unravel them one by one. Moreover, if made wrong, the interpreter will be influenced by the spell. Number 34, unable to unlock, the book. Usually, there will always be a pattern. Even if the magic barrier is stacked multiple layers, as long as the pattern is discovered, it is possible to unlock it. Just like water and oil cannot be mixed, magic almost never uses different patterns of arrangement. But number 34, after unraveling the initial pattern, the second answer was designed as an incorrect answer. Number 34, what a terrible trick. Number 34, but Renaud mocked and touched it, number 34. With the sound of shattering, a passage to the depths appeared, wide enough for one person to pass through. Renaud is moving towards the channel and continuing to deepen. After a while, he noticed a blue light overflowing from the depths. As he approached, he noticed a blue glowing crystal suspended in the center of the same spacious space as before. Renaud understands that it is the ability to be sealed. Number 34, hey, this is easy. Number 34, he thought it would be more troublesome, but unexpectedly, it was easy to get it. Just as he entered the room, a chill swept over his neck. Renaud realized it was fear, and a blue glowing figure appeared in front of him, something. In an instant, Renaud instinctively jumped backwards. That, Dongshi, the shining sword swung through the space where Renaud was located in an instant. Renaud didn't see it, just ran away with fear. He fell to the ground and remained stiff in place, but nothing happened. Renaud realized that he had returned to the aisle and left the room. That is to say, only those who invade indoors will be captured by it. Renaud was panting heavily, although he didn't exercise vigorously, he felt like he couldn't catch his breath, and the feeling of fear reminded him of bad memories. Number 34, damn it. Number 34, that blue glowing, Dongshi, stand upright like a guardian crystal, motionless like a mountain. Renaud stared at it, his eyes filled with fear. What should I do? The difference in strength is obvious. Invisible attacks are more difficult to touch than to see. Unable, impossible, negative thoughts swirled in his mind. Renaud looked at the palms of his hands. Even with the ability, this body is still so poor. Number 34, what am I doing? Continuing like this is simply daydreaming. Number 34, he clenched his fist, struck the ground hard, and stood up. Think, accelerate thinking. Then, he stared at the motionless one, something. Chapter 10. Anger. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Number 34, I can do it, I can move on my own. Number 34, however, his hands trembled uncontrollably, awakened by terrifying memories of despair. The power is inferior to the mud, killing like a child's play, being kicked and ridiculed, and treated like garbage. Renaud is just one of them. Renaud remembered the unforgettable past, as he looked down at the trembling of his hands spreading throughout his body, fear dominating everything. No, you can't think that way. It's just a warrior's trembling. To sweep away the concrete despair, this is the first step, starting from here. Renaud pointed his right hand towards the glowing crystal. Then, he sneered maliciously, I don't know if it's a guardian or something, sorry. I'm going to take it. Number 34, in an instant, cracks appeared in the space. The cracks gradually expand, and as they approach the crystal, they make a sound of breaking. That blue humanoid, Dongshi, no movement. When encountering incomprehensible things, people often cannot decide the next action, and the created number 34, Dongshi, it's the same. Even if incomprehensible, the power to destroy space does not exist in creation, the era of. The shattered space quickly regained calmness, and in order to make up for the lost space, the surrounding space was stretched. This also applies to objects, where Reynolds is instantly pulled and flies straight towards the crystal. Number 34, okay. As I thought. Number 34, he grinned proudly, but all of this turned into fear in an instant. At the moment Renaud entered the room, that, Dongshi, it has already approached Renaud. What can be seen directly is only that moment, and Renaud is now unpredictably about to be chopped down. That, Dongshi, the target is an immediately lethal area, and the most effective way of killing is to separate the head from the body. However, number 34, the sword had not yet touched Renaud's neck when it made a shattering sound when it touched the palm of his right hand. That's Renaud's intuition. If there is a mistake in intuition, it will be severely damaged. However, Renaud still believes in his intuition. However, due to taking an impossible position to confront, the body lost balance in the air. Renaud stared at the crystal, wanting to touch it. Finally reaching the limit of passing through point, just as he passed through the crystal, Renaud extended his left hand. When the middle finger touched the crystal, it turned into only light and was sucked into his body. Number 34, okay number 34, however, the momentum of the flight did not stop, and he was thrown to the ground and rolled. When Renaud thought he had finally stopped, he immediately adjusted his posture to search for it, that thing. Number 34, that thing, approaching him, attempting to wield the rebuilt sword. Number 34, dead set number 34, just as Renaud thought he was going to die, his gaze suddenly darkened. After waiting for a few seconds, nothing happened. This time, he really thought he was dead. Number 34, oh, a long time I haven't seen you, Renaud. Number 34, a familiar voice came from the darkness. Number 34, is it the Demon King? Number 34, that's right, being able to live well is the most important thing. Number 34, Renaud seems to have been knocked away again, but it feels different. Number 34, this is the place. It can be said to be the spiritual world. Number 34, the spiritual world. Number 34, the person I am talking to now is not the Demon King you have seen, but someone entrusted with it, anger, the remaining will in the middle. Due to slight differences in external and time flow, you have not escaped the fate of death. Number 34, Demon King, after speaking, he chuckled happily. Number 34, that is to say, you are teaching me how to use it. Number 34, Renaud immediately understood the meaning of dialogue with the missing body, so, number 39, anger, what is the emotion and ability of dedication? Will I die after the conversation ends? Number 34, you are so calm. Number 34, because I didn't understand my abilities very well, I almost died several times and have become accustomed to it. Number 34, Demon King, laughed loudly. He laughed too much, and Renaud's face twisted. Number 34, I really want to kill you, speak quickly. Number 34, sorry. Number 39, anger, it is an angry emotion, and ability basically means enhancing ability. Number 34, angry. Number 34, Renaud thought for a moment and said, just give it half. Number 34, isn't it all? Number 34, I realize that losing my appetite can also bring trouble. Moreover, if forgiveness is lost, the hatred towards them may not be alleviated. Number 34, well, that's true. Number 34, Demon King, murmured to himself and remained silent for a moment. After a momentary pause, the text came to Renaud's mind. Obtained. Number 34, the pioneer of self-discipline. Renaud smiled proudly, strengthening also includes oneself, right? Number 34, well, it also depends on specific abilities, but corresponding abilities can be obtained through names. Number 34, understood, then let me go back quickly. Number 34, you are such an impatient person. At least listen to some advice on collecting future abilities. Number 34, what? Speak up. Number 34, you said you don't understand abilities, right? So, I suggest you look for number 39, greed. Number 34, greed. Number 34, it is an ability related to understanding. Number 34, oh, I understand. That suits me very well. Number 34, Renaud nodded and laughed. Number 34, is there anything else? Number 34, if I tell you everything, it won't be interesting. And if you're so impatient and don't chat with me anymore, I'll feel bored. Number 34, Renaud smiled helplessly and said, why are you so like that lonely and resentful woman who stays alone in an empty room? Number 34, that's okay, after all, I hardly have anyone to talk to. Number 34, understood. So, when I get number 39, greed, see you later. Number 34, looking forward to your performance. Alright, take care. Number 34, Renaud's vision instantly restored, and a sword swung towards him. However, number 34, that thing, the sword that was slashed swept through the air. Number 34, this ability is not bad. Number 34, it, turning to the source of the sound, I saw Renaud standing by the room wall with a smile on his face, staring at his hand. Without any premonitions or reactions, the sword charged straight towards Renaud. This move traversed the entire field of vision, but was blocked by something hard. It was Renaud's right arm. The tip of the sword did not even penetrate his body by a millimeter and was stopped by his skin. Number 34, sure enough, can this also be achieved? Number 34, Renaud tentatively flicked his sword, and this time it was his turn to take action. He bounced fiercely, shaking for a moment, he grabbed it with his left hand, the part of the head. Number 34, finally, exposed to number 39, yes. Goodbye, bastard. Number 34, just finished speaking, the whole body cracked and shattered into debris. The blue light disappeared, and silence and darkness arrived. A few seconds later, only Renaud's laughter echoed in the air, finally able to fight well. He rolled through the entrance, illuminating the corners and picking up the burning torch. Number 34, Wangdu. Number 34, he muttered to himself. Renaud is also aware of the character Faki, although he only knows, not quite. However, there is something more important than this. Number 34, there seems to be a summoner here. Number 34, his expression became cunning, and his eyes became even darker than the darkness around him. Number 34, firstly, the first person. Number 34, Renaud sneered. For the real beginning, Renaud sneered. To the pitiful and yet to appear first, heroes, cursing in the darkness.